Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of July 11, 2016. Mr. Spagna, would you please call the roll?
Colella.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
Gibbons.
Here.
Cannon.
Present.
Harrison. McLean.
Here.
Lowry.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Tate.
8 members present. At this time, could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn to chair announcements. I have 2. Executive session of council was held on Monday, June 27, 2016, to discuss police and administrative personnel issues. And tonight, before we came out, July 11th, 2016, to discuss personnel and legal issues. At this time, I'd like to turn to the reports of the officials and the library director's report.
Good evening. My name is Christine. I'm the director of Your Public Library, where we provide services to inform, inspire, and enrich the community. I'd like to tell you about some upcoming programs at the library. On Wednesday, July 13th at 6:30, we are hosting movie night for students in 5th grade and up. This week's movie will be The Karate Kid, and snacks will be provided. On Thursday, July 14th at 7 p.m. is Makerspace 3D printing class for grades 5 and up. We do ask that you register for that program. Friday, July 15th at 10 a.m. is Conversation Salon, where you can join us for simple conversation. We'll begin with a topic and see where it leads. Wednesday, July 20th at 6 p.m. is GoPro Hero and Chromebook. You can come to this class, test them out, and then you can check them out and use them at home. Thursday, July 21st at 7 p.m. is Family Fun Night. Family with children in 1st through 5th grade are invited for a night of STEM activities. No abilities are required. They're basic STEM activities. Wednesday, July 27th at 2 p.m. we'll have a class on core stability presented by physical therapist Dr. Shannon Cohen. We'll learn new ways to strengthen your core to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Thursday, July 28th, all day, we have our Memory Lab program where you can use our recording equipment to capture oral interviews with family and friends. You can record family histories and stories using our video and lighting equipment. You can receive assistance organizing your family's stories, legends, and history, or setting up a family digital history project. You can get help with scanning pictures, digitizing documents. You can create written transcripts for your video and audio files, as well as for any handwritten diaries or other letters or papers. And you can use our online database to safely store and share your digitized history. We do ask that you call to sign up for an appointment, and Ed will help you with that. The library is hosting one fundraiser this summer. It's a raffle for Xbox One or a Kindle Fire. It's $1 donation per entry, and the drawing will be held on Monday, August 8th. And I just want to remind everybody that the library is closed on Sundays from Memorial Day through Labor Day weekend, so we will not be there on Sundays. And that is all I have this evening.
Any questions? Hearing none, thank you very much. Can we turn to the police chief's report?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Good evening, everyone. Chief O'Connor. Just have a few announcements. August the 2nd is National Night Out, and again, Bethel Park Police Department will be participating. So if you want to have a porch party or a block party, have food, and I'll come eat it. Also, our K-9 unit, Officer Al Wanger and his K-9 partner G's are now through training, and they are out on patrol. So hopefully he will be taking a bite out of crime very soon. And then finally, please join with us, all members of BPPD, in wishing that all officers nationwide go home safely tonight. Thank you. God bless. Questions?
Okay, thank you. Hearing none, we have the EMS Director report. Nora?
Good evening. I'm Nora Helverick, the EMS Chief. I was asked to give a small report on what's going on in EMS, and once again, The residents of Bethel Park should be proud. We were awarded the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline Gold Award. What that means is for over 2 years, we have met the criteria set forth by the American Heart Association for what you would know better as heart attacks for our STEMIs. That means from the time we initially get the call and we transmit the first 12 lead EKG to we get the patient to the emergency room and they're in the cath lab getting the vessel open, we've met that criteria, so they're getting into the cath lab below 90 minutes 85% of the time. So we're pretty proud of that gold award. The other new thing that's going on, if you haven't visited our new website, I encourage you to do so. There's a lot of information on there. There's every month Dr. Giangelo posts an informational article. This month was on the Zika virus, so they're informational. And we're now the proud owners of 3 new ambulances and electronic stretchers, so they're really thrilled with those. We run almost 600 calls a month, EMS-wise. So far this month, we're up by 75 more calls than we were at this time last year, and we're running over 7,000 calls a year. So we're extremely busy. As I was walking in tonight, Bethel dispatcher dispatches 2 calls at one time. That seems to be the norm anymore, 2 at a time. So we'll come meet with you too, Chief. Any questions? Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll turn to the mayor's report. Mayor Allen. Mr. Harrison.
I just wanted to inform the public that council thought it was appropriate to have the EMS representative come and speak to us. We discussed that before, and it never happened for whatever reason. But anyway, I believe what we plan on doing is having a representative come every 3 months to update us. We have an excellent emergency medical service, Tri-Community, and certainly all the feedback I get, I've never gotten anybody give me a dissatisfactory evaluation, and lots of people pass compliments. So I think it's important that we hear from the EMS every so often. Thank you very much, Nora.
Thank you. If I can, I'm going to give a real quick impromptu fire department report. I apologize, Mayor. I just want to thank everybody who attended the grand opening in the new fire station. That day was to celebrate for the community and the fire department. But there was a lot of work that went into that project, and I want to acknowledge Jim McLean, Jim Hannon, Mayor Allen, and Mr. Brandon Colella for all the time and effort put in over the last 5 years in meeting with the fire department, reviewing their needs, working with them on coming up with a plan. And a lot of the acknowledgments in the day were about the new station and thanking the people. But I'd just like to thank my colleagues for the time and effort they put into it to help that project come to fruition. So thank you. Mayor Allen. I won't say another word.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a few items this evening. The first one is Rev Up and Roll, which benefits our Recreation Department. It's sponsored by PASA 2. It'll be July 30th from 11 to 6 in South Park, and Johnny Angel and the Halos will be performing, and the proceeds go to the Recreation Department. And also, for the people watching the program, the Recreation Department has discount tickets for sale for places like Cedar Point, Kennywood, the Pittsburgh Zoo, Hershey Park. So if anyone out there is planning on going to those places, stop by to the Rec Department and purchase your tickets here. Finally, the person that we're honoring this month is a 13-year-old student in the Bethel Park school system. His name's Colin McCormick. And at this time, rather than me going over what I have written down here, I'm going to introduce Colin, and he's going to tell you what he's done and what he plans to do. Pretty tall for 13.
All right. So, yeah, my name's Cole McCormick. I've been collecting pop tabs for the Ronald McDonald House for 3 years now. And it all started with a young family member of mine in the Children's Hospital. And while she was in there, I learned the value of like a pop tab and how all of it goes to like, well, they recycle them, and then all of that money used like when they sell the metal, that pays for the people who can't stay in the Ronald McDonald House while their children in Children's Hospital. And so I went and I found out that there was no formal pop tab collection at Ben Franklin or any of the schools in the Bethel Park School District. So with the help of my dad and the PTO, I arranged a meeting with the principal at the time, Dr. Dickinson, at Ben Franklin for her approval of the competition with the pop tabs. The first year, it was just like a small classroom contest just in Ben Franklin, and the goal was only 50,000, but we went way over that and got a total of over 250,000 pop tabs. Hold on, I lost my place here. Give me 1 second. The second year, the contest expanded the Neil Armstrong Middle School and Ben Franklin Middle School, and we actually doubled. So we went from 250,000 pop tabs to over 500,000 pop tabs in just that year. The third year's when it got big. It went up that year. As the word got out and different schools began participating, such as like Washington Elementary School and Independence Middle School, and also like elders from around the community began to participate, and we got businesses around the community, or not businesses and places, such as like the library helped out, and AJ's Deli helped out, and I think it's Sharia's down there. Sharia's restaurant also helped out. The total amount throughout the 3 years was over 1,187,000 pop tabs, and I'm proud to say that that's enough to help 32 families stay at the Ronald McDonald House for one night. My goal is and is to plant the seed so that this does not end here. I want students in Washington Elementary, Ben Franklin, Neil Armstrong, Independence Middle School, and all the other schools in the district those are the ones that there's kids in those schools that actually have plans on continuing the contest in the years to come. And I hope I started a chain reaction and everyone soon knows the importance of something as small as a pop tab, because I feel that that's very important. And I'd like to see Bethel Park collect probably over $1 billion in the future. And for any future donations, Neil Armstrong, almost dropped it there. Neil Armstrong Middle School has a collection bin in their front lobby where all the pop tabs can be dropped off. And real quick, I'll finish this up. In closing, I'd like to thank my dad, Tara, my brother Jake, Kenzie, and Eliza for the endless hours of counting, weighing, bagging, delivering, and chart making to help make this collection a success. And again, I thank the BP Council and Mayor, you for recognizing my efforts.
I started this, I guess, 3.5 years ago, recognizing someone that makes a difference in Bethel Park. And it's so refreshing, the young people that we've recognized over the last few years, and Colin being right at the top of the list. So I have a certificate, and it says Certificate of Recognition presented to Colin McCormick for your dedication to the Bethel Park community, awarded this day, or the 11th day of July, 2016. So thank you very much for all your hard work. Yeah, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. At this time, can we turn to the approval of the minutes, and Mr. Hannon?
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of June 13, 2016.
Second.
There is a motion and a second that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of June 13th, 2016. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagna, would you please call the roll?
Colella.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Maury.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls. Mr. Hannan.
I move that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality for bill list number 071116 in the amount of $1,777,910.76.
Second.
There is a motion and a second that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 071116 in the amount of $1,770,910.76. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagnol, could you please call the roll?
Dixon,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Lowry,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Colella.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the resident comment section for non-agenda items. Hearing none, I would like to turn to general policy and finance and Mr. McLean, and we have no residents signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. First item is ordinance for year 2016 police administrative salaries. I move that we approve the ordinance providing 2016 salaries for the Bethel Park Police Chief and Lieutenants.
Second.
There's a motion to second that we approve the ordinance providing 2016 salaries for the Bethel Park Police Chief and Lieutenants. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagnol, would you please call the roll?
Givens,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Lowry,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Colella,
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. McLean?
No other agenda items. I do, however, have one additional item.
Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to revisit what Mr. Mowry had talked about earlier with our recognition on June 18th of the opening of the fire hall. And two things I wanted to note. One, I thank Mr. Mowry for recognizing those of us who worked on the committee with him, but in truth, Mr. Mowry deserves a lot of the credit. It was Mr. Mowry who had the vision that putting this fire hall together and everything we needed to do it could happen, and he undertook to do that, and it was with his leadership that we were able to do it. That day was not without some other participants. Mr. O'Brien gave a wonderful rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner at our ceremony, and there were a lot of dignitaries present, but the real star of the show that day was the fire hall, was our new fire hall. And for those of you who haven't yet had a chance to see it, I encourage you to do it. This is truly a community asset. The people of Bethel Park have gotten together to approve the funding for the fire hall. And the last thing I want to mention is, and this was really brought home when we were there that day, that we've got this outstanding volunteer fire company. And one of our primary motivations behind stepping forward and building the fire hall and doing everything that was necessary was the ability to preserve the volunteer fire company nature of our volunteer fire company, so that we would take over the community, the facilities, and the volunteer fire company could remain a volunteer fire company. In order to do that, we need to continue to have volunteers, and people continue to become volunteer firemen and women in this community. So particularly if you are someone younger, a young man or woman in the community, and you're looking for an opportunity to participate and become involved, I encourage you to contact the fire company, go see the new fire hall, and think seriously about getting involved. That way, this whole thing becomes the huge success that we were all hoping it would be when we got started. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dixon?
I'd like to reiterate Mr. McLean's comments and just add to them briefly. The Volunteer Fire Department does have a program whereby they will arrange for a 2-year scholarship at community college for young people that want to come out and join the fire department. So I would encourage you all to consider that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Any other items?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Harrison?
A few years ago, Councilman Dixon congratulated McTiernan in behalf of the governing body for being designated as a super lawyer. No comments were from council. There were no comments from council at that time. My mother taught me that silence is consent. So we apparently accept that that designation is appropriate for use. I adopted it in my reference to McTiernan. Council blatantly violated the Constitution of Bethel Park, the Home Rule Charter, by passing an illegal ordinance to place a question on the ballot to provide a dedicated tax for the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. Providing a dedicated tax is legal, but the timing for putting the question on the ballot violated the Home Rule Charter. Introducing the ordinance a month sooner would have avoided the Home Rule Charter violation. The violation resulted from the ineptness of the council leadership in scheduling the vote. Council President Maury likes to tell the public about the couple of years he spent negotiating the deal with the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company, and then he failed to introduce the ordinance in a timely fashion to avoid the violation. I refer to the council action as blatant because council can't profess ignorance of the Home Rule Charter requirement. Prior to the vote, I informed council at this dais of the applicable section of the Home Rule Charter. I noted that passage of the ordinance would be a violation of the Home Rule Charter. One wonders why the council purposely violated the Home Rule Charter. I allege that the approval of the ordinance was an act of misfeasance and some penalty should have been enacted. 2 weeks after the vote, Super Lawyer McTiernan issued what I refer to as a Philadelphia lawyer opinion, saying the violation of the Home Rule Charter was okay. Council members allude to Super Lawyer McTiernan's opinion that was issued 2 weeks after the vote. At the time of the vote, how would council members know that the ruling would be issued later justifying their Home Rule Charter violation? At the time of their vote, council members could not know that such an opinion would be issued unless there was some backroom information provided outside of my presence. That action in itself would be illegal. I know I'm being repetitive, but I continue to be concerned that our precious nation is declining on a slippery slope due to governing bodies ignoring the law. McLean seems to be offended by my continuous use of the phrase super lawyer. Note that the expression was okay when Mr. Dixon used it. At the June council meeting, McLean said in part, "I am happy anytime to be associated with Mr. McTiernan, and if he and I are thinking the same way, that's a pretty good verification for me that I said the same thing and I said the same thing about my father." Mr. McLean speaking about his father. Happy to be associated with him at any time. When Mr. Harrison was speaking, he used name calling that he resorts to, particularly Mr. McTiernan trying to label him some derogatory way as a super lawyer and denigrate his profession. I thought he got complimented on that. It was okay for Dixon to refer to McTiernan as a super lawyer, but when I use the term, according to McLean, it's derogatory. We employ Super Lawyer McTiernan to protect the staff and the elected officials from making legal errors. I will freely admit it's difficult for me to respect Mr. McTiernan when he fails to advise council members at the time of the approval of the subject ordinance violated the letter and the spirit of the Home Rule Charter. Note that McLean chose to introduce his father in the conversation. McLean has reminded the public many times that his dad was an elected member of the Home Rule Charter, and I was also. And he notes that his dad was the chairman of the Home Rule Charter. I reminded the public many times that the Home Rule Charter Commission unanimously, that includes Mr. McLean's father, agreed to write the Home Rule Charter in plain English so that anyone competent in the language could understand it, and hopefully it would prevent useless expenditure of taxpayers' money on unneeded legal opinions. Hopefully keeping attention on such a violation will keep the violations from occurring in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. O'Brien.
Don, you're not buying flowers for the man, so come on. Let's face it, 3 years, it's kind of a personal attack against his character and his profession. And I think it's horrible that you keep doing this. This man is very qualified, capable. He's just a wonderful guy. He's done so many good things for this community. And month after month after month, you attack this man's character. And you say, Mr. Diction uses super lawyer, but come on, you're not buying the man flowers. So, you need to end this. As for the day of the dedication, Mr. McTiernan was there, and you were not. But just in case, I brought your name tag for you, so you would have it.
Thanks.
What do you want us to do? You want us to take the building down? You want us to go over there and start taking the bricks down? And put them all out on West Library and Brightwood Road, and we'll rebuild it? I have no clue what you want us to do here. This is just getting absolutely ridiculous. And I'd like to commend the fire department and the committee and Mr. Murray and this staff. This was a monumental undertaking done like nowhere else to get these groups of people together to get a common goal to save a volunteer fire department is truly remarkable. And to sit here month after month and year after year and put up with bringing it down is just absolutely ridiculous. And trying to destroy this man's character from this dais as a public official, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mallory.
Thank you. Mr. Colella.
I could not agree more with Mr. O'Brien. Since I've been voted and joined this board, Mr. McTiernan, Solicitor McTiernan, has done nothing but, in my opinion, guide us in the right direction. And I want to thank him for his wise legal counsel on so many issues. And I really could go on and on, because the more my colleague, Mr. Harrison, speaks, the more my blood starts to boil. I don't know if he reads that speech, if he thinks he reads it maybe one more time, that it'll come true. It's like rubbing a lamp and a genie's going to come out and the building's going to come down and so on and so forth. Dawn, I ask that you give it up. The firehouse is built, it's beautiful, and we're moving forward. This is just downright embarrassing. Not only that, it's a waste of this board's time, listening to you ramble on month after month. In the last 4 months, we've probably wasted 40 minutes listening to that same speech. As I said before, I could go on and on, but I digress.
Thank you, Mr. Cleveland. Mr. Hannon.
I'm going to have my 2 cents here, too. It's over. It's built. The community moves forward, except for the representative from the 5th Ward. He lives in the past. He has not done anything for this town but try to tear it down. And the situation, what has Mr. Harrison brought to this table that's been an improvement or something to move forward in Bethel Park over his multi-decades on council? He sits up here as critical, but he has no ideas, no original ideas of his own to have this community improve. And it's sad to have to sit there and have the public listen to the same crap every month, repeatedly, that it's as Mr. Close said, it's an embarrassment, but hey, that's what we get elected these jobs for, to listen to this stuff. And I think we've improved the community, although through Mr. Harris's efforts, nothing has put that in our ability not to do it. So again, next month, tune in, because Mr. Harris will have everybody who spoke here have something against to say to them, because that's what he does. Again, it's a political year, because next year, five of us have to run for re-election, so including Mr. Harris. So he hasn't done anything, so he has to keep his name present in the public to give the impression he's actually done something. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mayor Allen.
I usually don't say anything down at this end. However, I'm in the community almost every day, whether it be at the store, Giant Eagle, wherever it might be. And it's gotten to the point that we have so many things going on here, so many new buildings going up, so many developments that are building here. But now I hear people that they're embarrassed of what's going on. I hear people every day just comment and say, what's wrong with that council? Why is it such an embarrassment? And you know, Don started 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and we okayed the fire department. We had the grand opening. I thought maybe it would end once the doors open, but apparently that's not going to. But for the sake of Bethel Park, please stop the embarrassment that I hear all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Harrison.
I want to answer the gentleman sitting next to me.
O'Brien.
Mark Joseph.
Yeah, O'Brien. Sorry, his name slipped my mind. But before, I just want to say that there's probably no one sitting at this dais that's been more supportive of the volunteer fire company. I went to a meeting one time, promised them I would remind people of the volunteer fire company and relied on contributions. And there's no doubt we have an excellent, we're blessed with having an excellent volunteer fire company. The other points I want to make is that the conversation is about the fire company and their nice building, and there's absolutely no doubt, as I say, we got to have a good company and a beautiful building. I don't object to that.
Just try to do my job.
And then the rest of the conversation is about poor Mr. McTiernan and how he's getting beat around. But they ignore every voting member up here except this member who voted for the ordinance to put the question on the ballot, and that was contrary to the words and the spirit of the Home Rule Charter, and as opposed to me being embarrassed, I think all these members that sat up here and voted and casted an illegal vote, illegal in the sense that it was contrary to the Home Rule Charter. And I think they are the ones that ought to be explaining to the public why they would sit up here and cast a vote. All of them. You'd think, well, maybe some of them didn't know. Maybe the junior member down there doesn't even know about the Home Rule Charter. I don't know. But every voting member here voted for that ordinance, which, as I say, I've laid on the table the fact that it's contrary to the Home Rule Charter, and they just blow that off. That's right. It's just a minor a violation of the Home Rule Charter. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mowry?
Mr. McLean.
Let me respond to what Mr. Harrison was just saying. Nobody up here has said that what we did in February of 2013 was just a minor violation. We haven't said it's a violation at all. Maybe it would be helpful to just refresh the public's recollection of what happened here. February 2013, we adopted an ordinance to put on the ballot in May, that is 90 days later, a question to be put before the public to vote on whether or not they wanted to approve a fire tax for the building of the fire hall. That was more than 30 days after we adopted the ordinance. What Mr. McTiernan did, and this is where Mr. Harrison says the violation occurred, he mailed it to the county. He mailed a copy of the ordinance to the county so they could see it and place it on the ballot 3 months later. That's what he says is the violation, the mailing of the ordinance. So we didn't think that it was a violation, but just say, so what, let's move forward. And in fact, what we did was we said to Mr. McTiernan, is it okay to have this sent to the county so that they can look at it and put it on the May ballot? Mr. McTiernan looked at the question, the county elections department looked at it. They both told us, yes, it's okay to do that. This is okay. If we had been told that we needed to wait until November, we would have waited until November. And you know what would have happened? The same overwhelming approval of the ordinance would have happened in November that happened in May. So for some reason, though, Mr. Harrison wanted to be opposed to all of this and wanted to take up this accusation about the rest of the members on this council doing something illegal and blatantly improper. We never for a second thought that it was improper. What we did do was adopt an ordinance. 30 days was going to pass long before that ordinance and the question appeared on the ballot. We talked to Mr. McTiernan, we talked to the county election department, everybody said it was fine. So the question went on the ballot and the public approved it. That's what happened. Since then, we have all moved on to inform the public of what we were doing with the project, get the project done, hire an architect, hire a contractor, build a building, have it opened, have a ceremony to open it, and Mr. Harrison wants to go back and talk about what happened in February of 2013 and about a mailing of a letter from Mr. McTiernan to the county. It makes no sense. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Murray.
You already spoke twice, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Dixon.
I just want to clarify something as well. Mr. Harrison implied that I named Mr. McTiernan a super lawyer, and that's absolutely absurd. The entire legal community in this region named Mr. McTiernan a super lawyer. They have a procedure whereby they vote and they endow this award on worthy attorneys. And so the entire legal community named Mr. McTiernan a super lawyer. And in fact, I know you're a humble man, this is uncomfortable for you, but if I'm not mistaken, you were named the best lawyer in America in municipal law.
This last year was Lawyer of the Year in municipal law.
In municipal law. So it wasn't I that named him a super lawyer. He has been recognized by the legal community as one of the most brilliant minds in municipal law in America. So I think we're really blessed to have a solicitor of this caliber. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to planning and zoning and Mr. Dixon, and there are no residents signed up to speak.
Two items tonight. First item is application number 2016-0126, Christ United Methodist Church additions, major land development, 44 Highland Road. I move that we approve application number 2016-0126, Christ United Methodist Church additions, major land development, 44 Highland Road, in accordance with the municipal planner's correspondence dated July 7, 2016.
Second.
There is a motion, a second, that we approve application number 2016-0126, Christ United Methodist Church additions, major land development, 44 Highland Road, in accordance with municipal planner's correspondence dated July 7, 2016. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Cannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Colella?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Dixon.
Second item is an ordinance for a shade tree commission. I move that we approve the ordinance establishing a shade tree commission resource for existing tree inventory and grant funding to plant trees on public property.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the ordinance establishing a shade tree commission resource for existing tree inventory and grant funding to plant trees on public property. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Colella?
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Dixon.
That's all I have this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to health, safety, and welfare, and Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chairman.
we have no residents signed up to speak.
Thank you. I'd like to say, due to the events of last week, I would like to ask Bethel Park, the people of Bethel Park, that they please pray for the wounded and for the families that lost loved ones. I would also like to ask you to pray for our Bethel Park police officers and their families. These officers put their shoes on every day to keep us safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there are no items under health, safety, and welfare.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
I'd just like to let the people know that all the American flags, the newly purchased American flags, are in the memorial this month. They're absolutely beautiful for our nation's birthday, so take a chance when the wind's blowing to stop down and see them. I would also like to recognize one of our municipal employees. You know, last month, I read off a lineage of all the people that I thanked for making that wonderful Memorial Day program go forward. And I forgot Dave Cable and the volunteers of BPTV7. They're like a light switch. You come in, you turn the light on, it just happens. They just make it happen. I mean, to be here, film the parade, film the morning ceremony, film the ceremony in the cemetery, and have it on that afternoon is absolutely unbelievable. And they do that consistently every year for all the people and the veterans who can't get here. People actually wait for it to come on TV that afternoon. And the effort that they put out on that holiday, where everybody else is flipping burgers and swimming in pools if it's warm enough, they're still putting together this program for the people of Bethel Park. And then a few weeks later, they do an outstanding job of filming the dedication of the Bethel Park Fire Department. It was absolutely wonderfully done, and all the different programs that they do. I'm amazed at what they can get done. I'm amazed at their dedication, and I thank Dave for his leadership and the group of volunteers. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Ms. Gibbons? We have no residents signed up to speak.
Thank you. 2016 Storm Sewer Project. I move that we award the 2016 Storm Sewer Project to Michael Fasciano Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $135,155 for the Santa Fe storm sewer and inlets along various streets.
Second. There's a motion and second that we award the 2016 Storm Sewer Project to Michael Fasciano Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $135,155 for Santa Fe storm sewer and inlets along various streets. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
McLean,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Lella,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Gibbons,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Beagle Drive Bridge Replacement Project. I move that we award the Beagle Drive Bridge Replacement Project for the base bid in the amount of $118,600 and alternate bid number 1 in the amount of $8,800 to Michael Fasciano Contracting, Inc.
Second.
There's a motion and second that we award the Beagle Drive Bridge Replacement Project for the base bid amount of $118,600 and the alternate bid number 1 in the amount of $8,800 to Michael Fasciano Contracting, Inc. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Maury,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Lella,
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons,
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Ms. Gibbons.
That's all I have.
Are there any additional items?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dixon.
just wanted to reiterate something Mr. O'Brien just said. I would like to ask everyone to keep the families of those Dallas police officers in your prayers. They are suffering through an incredible amount of pain right now. It's at times like these when you see just how dangerous that job is and how much they risk for us every day. Every day when they pin that badge on, they don't know if they're coming home. So please keep those families in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Are there additional items?
Move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.